Good morning. Oh, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I just sing the whole time. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. So this is kind of more impromptu. So typically this is the time that we all come together. We're doing the Misfit Light. So Misfit Light is typically every Monday morning at 8:15 live. Good morning, good morning. Yes. And we have been doing this full series together of body, mind, and soul. This whole idea about learning to live in harmony. And what does that mean for ourselves? As you know, each week I have a free workbook that's available for you. So I make that workbook for you every week. I apologize, you do not have a new workbook this week as we close out our series. Hello from the Netherlands. Hello, hello. How is it there? How is the weather? How are things? It's kind of gloomy out today, but yesterday we celebrated my son's first birthday and his cousin's first birthday together in our backyard, and it was perfect outside. We were so nervous that it was going to rain, and it ended up being really, really beautiful. So it was really nice. Good morning, Ani. Good morning, friends. So this state, cold but gorgeous. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. What a fun way to describe women too, right? Because you might, oh, she's cold, but she's gorgeous. Thank you so much, Ani. Yes, friends, this weekend was huge. I taped a 30-minute body of work for stand-up called Tired Mom. So that is going to be going out on my YouTube on May 1st, which is also my 38th birthday. So big things happening there, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that just on stories and everything else and how that kind of all came to be. And like I said, I apologize, but because between taping the 30-minute show, and I did 2 shows, and then literally within 12 hours, I'm hosting a 30-person birthday party for, luckily it was just family. I had the know-with-all. I'm like, we're not going to invite friends. We're just doing family. We're going to keep it easy. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. So we do not have a new workbook today. I will update it today, and then you'll have it if you want it. But what's easy is we put body, mind, and soul. We put all of them together. So I'll just add this onto it, and that'll be that. I may even leave that up as a separate link just as we move through the year, because that's something people can kind of always go back to and help guide themselves. So, you know, originally when I did this, I was like, oh, this will be this big whole piece, right? And it'll be like, oh, we're going to get everybody ready to go. And it's going to be this, you know, whole like thing. And you know, it's body, mind, and soul. We're going to get everybody ready to go. And today is also a full moon lunar eclipse. Whether you subscribe to astrology or not, that's just what's happening on Earth, that there's a lunar eclipse and a full moon at the same time. And so you may have been feeling just like a lot of stuff comes up for review, right? We know even the whole lore of like full moons, or that's like when werewolves come out, right? Or if you've ever seen like Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox, things like that. The whole idea was that's why Halloween is typically really spooky too, right? Because when a full moon was out, it was the most light that people could go out. So there was like a lot of mischief, a lot of stuff going on because things were revealed, right? Emotional, yeah. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot coming up for us. Y'all, I cried 3 times on the day of my taping. Not like, what am I doing? But just like, oh my God, what is happening? There was so much like being unearthed. And I think so much of that was actually coming into this alignment. I've been doing this work of working towards aligning my body, my mind, and my soul for about 6 years. Maybe some of you know I got sober in 2018, and then I had a spiritual awakening in a bunk bed in Aspen, because that's my story. And that's how all of these things began to kind of align and change and shift for me. So, sorry, everybody's awake in our house, and our lawn guys are here. I'm like, what? It feels like a circus here. So all of these things are converging, and I feel like doing that taping, taking that action was just the perfect example of not waiting for something to be perfect, right? Knowing that it was the right time, knowing that it needed to be done, even if it wasn't perfect, And I only share that as a point of reference of like, but that's what we all do, right? Happy day, my friend, right? Like that's the whole point. It's not, we all do that where it's like any of these things that we want to do, we want to move, we want to go after this relationship, we want to, like any of these things that we do, these big things that we put all this energy and all this time into, we get in our own way because we're like, well, it has to be perfect, or I have to be perfectly over this thing to start dating again, or I have to know exactly what this thing is going to be before I do it. And that's just not true. Because perfect is the enemy of done. Perfect is the enemy of action. Because so much of why we even did this entire series together of body, mind, and soul is because we want to put them all together so that they can be in harmony. Right? Yes, I'm glad you're here for it, right? Because so much, it's not the idea that like, oh, once it all makes sense or now it all makes sense. You know, I won't bore you with the, details of stand-up, but typically before you're taping 30 minutes of material, you're going to run that baby. You're going to take it on the road, okay? It's going to be word perfect. You know it like the back of your hand. And I'm like, right now, I don't have that option, but I need this body of work and I need to do this thing for me so that I can move on to the next things that I want to do. So I am going to trust that the work that I've put in is enough. And there may be another phase of my life where I have that time and it is perfect. It is my opus. But this body of work, first of all, go see it. It's still effing hilarious, okay? But the point being where, I started to get hard on myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? And it's like, no. One of my favorite things, this is Mark Duplass, who some of you are probably very familiar with. Some of you, if you're not familiar, he's an actor. He was in The Morning Show. He's been in everything. He and his brother have a production company. And one of the things that he always says is swing the sword in your hand. What is the thing that you can do today? And that is what this entire piece of what we're talking about is. Because I didn't say we're living in balance. It's balance. Harmony. Harmony is allowing things to be in dissonance. Harmony is allowing and trusting that perfect isn't real. It's not real. And even people who look perfect, it's like, guess what? That's not real either. You know how much money and rest and surgery and everything went into looking like that? And that's not a knock on those choices, but it's just, again, illuminating that the idea of things that are perfect is just an idea because it's not fucking real. And the idea that there is going to be the perfect moment is also not real. But when we allow ourselves to live in that space where we are learning to live in harmony and we are learning to discern and listen to that spirit, listen to soul, and however you define it. Some of you may have a more traditional religious background. You go to church every Sunday or you go to synagogue, right? You go to temple, any of these things, many more religions than the three, but point being where, maybe that is the place that you find solace and you really connect with the Holy Spirit and however you define it. Some of you may do hiking. That's what you do. Some of you paint. Some of you sing. There's all different ways that we find it, but we all know it when we found it. And it's higher than us. And it's higher than us because its job is to guide us. You don't want somebody guiding you through the woods who's right next to you because you're like, why am I trusting you? You can only see the same shit as me, right? That when we can tap into something higher than ourselves, they can see. They want to guide you, right? And that was what it came down for me with this special. And it was like, what's the choice you want to make? What's the choice you want to make? You want to keep having this thought? Because the other thing is that perfect is the thing that's getting in our way because it's like, well, at least, right? Like if it's exactly perfect and, and then I fail, or like this idea that it's like, we're so scared of allowing ourselves to fail. And also friends, like, what does that even mean? Because when we are doing things that are in our highest, when we are doing things, it's about effort, not perfection. Everybody follow Patty right now. That's amazing. I love it. Thank you for sharing, right? And the effort is what's going to get you there. And the effort, that action, is the thing that you do time and time again, and that is how you learn. I learned more in the past month of being like, excuse my French, but I'm like, fuck it. We're taping this thing. We're doing it. I've done this my entire life. Okay? So yeah, I could look at it and go, I would have given that joke another round or two. But that was it. There was one in 30 minutes where I was like, yeah, that one wasn't done. And other than that, I'm like, this was great. This was great. Everybody had fun. And I'm like, and I have this body of work. And it's because I trusted myself and I trusted this guy that's like, it's time, we need this. And I'm going, are you sure? And they're like, it'll be fine. Just let's do it. And that's the thing, that we're at this precipice of, what do you want? What do you really want? And that's why we're doing this. That is why at this energetic new year, right? It's the, that hits me. That makes me really emotional. Like I said, I've been crying a lot, y'all. It's the trust. And that was why I knew I needed to do that special for myself, because I was like, that has proven to yourself that you trust yourself no matter what. Because you teach everybody else and you get online and you say all these things and you encourage people. And the reality is you have to do that work too. And I know that, and that's why I tell you all the time, right? That I do the work too. I'm doing it alongside you. But it is the accountability where I was like, we have to trust. It's time to trust and to do it. And, the more that we get into alignment of this body, mind, and soul and allow all of this, our self-genius, all of this self-guidance to come together and churn and move, we're able to discern when it is time to do something and when it's maybe time to hold back. Because there is discernment there. And it's not overthinking. It's intuition and it's knowing. And the only way that we can get to that place is by taking action and by getting clear on what are the things that we want. And so today on this full moon, where again, this idea when we started that full moons allow for full illumination, right? And there's teachers and healers and everybody that'll do a beautiful job of fully explaining it. But for us right now, right? What are the things, especially if you've been with us the last couple of weeks, and if not, it doesn't matter, I'm glad you're here. Of getting into alignment of, how do you use your body? Do you trust your body? Do you allow your body to give you guidance? Right? What does it want to do for you? What does it want to show for you? And if you, like me, you spent years disconnected because everybody judged your body, if your body was good enough, if your body wasn't good enough. Did men like your body? Did women like your body? What did clothes look like on your body? And I'm like, I'm completely disattached from it, because if I just act like it's not here, then it'll make coping and moving through this so much easier. Right? And then I started drinking. So great. Now an easier way to disconnect from body, mind, and soul. Okay. And that worked for a while. And now fully integrating all of them and being able to learn the discernment. And so it feels like a car, right? A car couldn't move if you only had a gas pedal. Well, it could, but scary vehicle, right? Probably all of us are not going to be driving one. And then you couldn't get anywhere if it only had brakes. Right? And then you can't get anywhere if you have an engine and you don't have a stop and a gas. So we are the same thing. Everything is here to serve you so that you know when it's time to go. You know when it's time to slow down. You know when it's time to pull over. Right? It's a very elementary metaphor, but it works perfectly, right? So, sorry, one second. So that's what we're wanting to do. Is right now, right? We just went through the spring equinox, and we're going into Aries season, and we'll have the start of like the energetic new year, which, or energetic new year, the astrological new year in April, again, whether you subscribe or not. But I always say where, New Year's starting in winter seems so anticlimactic. It's like, no wonder, or winter here in the States, right? And it's like, what are we getting done? What are we getting done here? Nothing. Things are blooming, things are moving, right? And so this is the time that it's like, okay, let's take this stock. And what would it be like? What would it feel like to choose to learn to live in harmony? I love the sweater. Thank you for reminding me about the full moon. Absolutely. Just pick this baby up. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a full moon and a lunar eclipse at the same time today. So if you've been feeling like all sorts of emotions, everything's coming up for review. That may be why. I don't know your life personally, but I'm gonna guess it probably has affected all of us individually, right? And it's a lot. It's a lot. And so I loved that this was kind of just closing us out on this idea of like, what does your soul want to tell you? And what does your soul want to do? And what would it feel like? And again, you can sub in the word soul for anything that feels comfortable for you, right? I don't want you to get held up on the language, but the idea of like, where is it that you really want to go? What do you want to do? How do you want to serve humanity? How do you want to be in service of yourself? What is the thing that you really want to do the most? And what can we do, again, navigating through this next year, right? You got 365 days. What are we going to do to navigate through that space, through that time? Sorry, I'm stuffy from all the festivities this weekend, right? Of navigating through that time. And what would that look like in 365 days if we allowed our body to give us information and that we weren't ignoring it? We weren't not giving it enough food. We weren't, well, I didn't give you enough food and now I'm going to binge even more. Now I binged and now we're going to work out a bunch, or, oh, I don't care what anybody thinks. And so it's like, then you're completely disconnected. Like, what would it feel like to allow your body to also signal to you, slow down, speed up. This person makes you feel safe. My nervous system feels calm here, right? There's all of this information that your body wants to teach you. And I feel the more that I've been working with my body, I'm like, oh, this is like AI software. Like the more you work with it and communicate with it, it just gets better and better, right? It's like, oh, it'll just like, I'll be around somebody and I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I can trust this person. And then my body will be like, I'm like, cool, I can't, all right. And then I'll meet somebody new. I'm like, ooh, I feel like I kind of want to let my guard down around this person. I feel like I really like them. And then I just feel like, it's like, okay, cool. It's good. This person is safe. Rather than everything in my mind all the time being like, is this okay? What am I doing? Oh, I said that dumb thing. Hey, remember that super dumb thing you said at that party 4 years ago? I bet everybody else still thinks about that too, right? Like your mind will just, it's a processing center. It's not here to really go like yes or no. Sometimes it is, but not every day, all day long. Let your mind rest. So when we can put those two things in alignment so they're working together, we have more space to hear what's up here and hear what wants to lead us and hear where it wants to go, right? So like I said, I apologize because of the kookiness of this entire, let's just go winter. This winter about just like took me down. But certainly this last week, I do not have the soul portion of your free workbook. Although if you're not familiar with workbook, you can go to my link in bio. It's there every week. You can download it, obviously, except this week. Because I'm a one-man band and for the Misfit Light. So it did not get out. But I will do that today, so it'll be updated there. And I put all of this series together. So if you want to catch up on the series, it's all there together. You can download it. It's free. Please utilize it. It's been super helpful for me even to go through this with y'all every week, right? So again, if we're talking about soul, what does my soul want to tell me? And I'm going to guess the majority of you that are here, okay, funny, all the time. I'm going to guess if you're here, you're probably pretty aware of soul purpose, where you're wanting to go, right? I'm also going to guess for those of you, there's a couple of different levels, right? There's some of us that are kind of in the driver's seat. We know what we're wanting next. And now we're kind of navigating through like new things. We feel like we're kind of navigating through brush, right? Meaning like we could get through it, but it's a little prickly. This is new for us. And there may be some of you that are just kind of coming online to like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm like into some of this intuitive guidance. Like I'm feeling this. And I think that always coming up for review and asking ourselves, like, are we on our path? Because I'm sure you're on a path, right? But like, what is your, as I define us, misfit path? Where is it that you want to be? And so much of why I make the workbooks every week is because I also feel like as a practice, even if you're not like a journaler or a morning page person, but when we can look at something, you have to slow down long enough to write. Right? Like when was the last time you actually wrote multiple sentences? You're like, this is for the birds. Wow, this takes so long, right? Because we all text, we're all on email. So having just that practice of slowing down is asking you to really look at something and let it come up for review. So we went through mind, we went through body, and then today we're going through soul is one. What does your soul want to do? The second one is how do you connect to your soul? How do you connect? Some of you do through meditation, some of you through yoga, some of you through prayer, some of you through scripture, right? Some of you through community. There's all these different ways, but becoming really acutely aware of how we access that information, of how we connect is so important. Because something, a little bit about me, that I'm working on is being able to connect faster, right? Like there is something, I always say this, everyone's like, oh, I'm going on this retreat to Bali and oh, I did this. I'm not shitting on it. Okay, let me be clear. But when we just make these individual like long spaces to connect, it's like, great, anybody can go away to a tropical oasis and connect. I want us to get to a place where we can be in the middle of, the line at Bank of America. And if you need some guidance, you need to calm your nervous system down. You need a second to breathe because life is going too fast. How do you connect? Let me see, I love this. I'm trying to navigate how to connect to myself without a creative job. Ooh, seeing that I can still find myself even if I still work a 9 to 5. Yes, right? Because our job, Remington Donovan, who has now become one of my good friends, but is a spiritual mentor of mine, go and check him out, The Mystical Arts on Instagram. And that's always something that he says is like remembering like your job is just for resources a lot of the time. So some of us get hung up. I'm not saying this is you. I know that you're not in this space, but like we get hung up on, especially when we're trying to navigate our life to arrange it in a way where purpose is first, right? And then everything else is in alignment. That takes a really long time. Or sometimes, right, it seems like you may be in something right now where like, well, we're switching to this thing for right now, right? Like we're re-navigating. I mean, my life has been completely different. We left LA 2 years ago. It's taken me 2 years to get to this place to be able to re-navigate where my life is set up in a way of like, okay, boom, let's go, right? So when we're in those phases and in those spaces, it's remembering like those choices are made out of resources and necessity. The universe honors that, right? They're not like, oh, would you give up on your dreams? Like, oh, you're just like a barista now? It's like, yeah, okay. Because like here on earth, we still take dollars and cents. You know what I mean? So I think that is such a spiritual practice, which is also why so much of my spiritual work is like, let's tie us to what is here on earth, okay? Plenty of other healers and practitioners and people. Ooh, there's a lot of energy coming through my body. I was getting a little lightheaded. That are here to teach you about past lives, souls, Akashic records, all of these things, which are beautiful. I feel like so much of my work is like, let's connect you to what is here right now, right? Let's get you so anchored into the human experience that you're like, oh, this is a video game and this is awesome and I can do what I want to do. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's awesome. The whole point of all of us being here is that we can give back to each other. We can learn from each other, right? So I love that you said that. That is so poignant and so perfect, right? So all of these ways that we can begin to connect with ourselves and anchor in so that we can move forward, right? So those are the really two big questions about soul. I also think next week, since we didn't have the workbook this week and stuff, what we're going to do next week is we'll just kind of like wrap up on this series. If you guys do join this, if you watch it later, if you have any questions, anything like that. So we'll make next week a little bit more of like, question and answer a little bit and kind of get us ready of going into April. Like I want us at least together in this community, right? Of anything that has happened basically since like October to now, any of those lessons learned, any of that stuff that came up for a review, any of that stuff, like I'm not saying we're closing out all loose ends or anything, but like let's even look at that as like a life's body of work, like what's happened there and what can we do with it? What of it do we want to take with us? What of it are we ready to let go of? And kind of having this idea, we'll do a verbal vision board next week. Oh, how does she do it? Don't do that. LaForce, you won't have any friends. Okay, but that's kind of what we'll do next week is we'll kind of be doing this together. So it's like, all right, kind of this perfectly wrapped piece. And then boom, starting in April, we're going to move forward. Also, full disclosure, I'm thinking about moving this to Monday evenings. I've had a lot of people that are like, oh, I love it. But obviously time zones. And then a lot of people are going to work or getting their kids ready. So part of my community may be serving coffee with a smile. Yes, one may create connection by doing a 9 to 5 job with a smile. Amen. Amen. I love that so very much, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. So we're going to circle back to this next week. I would love for you to take some energetic review. Let me know how the rest of this lunar eclipse goes for you, all of the things that come up for review. And then we're going to come back together next week as a community, and it's going to be a little bit more of sharing, all right? And then I'm going to hold tight. In April, I believe that we're going to be moving this to the evenings, just so more people have a chance to join and connect. I really love the idea energetically of starting it off Monday morning, but also time is a construct, so we can do it whenever we want. You know what I mean? So we will choose to do that. I believe we're going to be moving this to Monday evenings. Yeah, so just stay tuned. And then since it's typically been Monday morning at 8:15 a.m., and that's Eastern time, she doesn't know where she lives. We're going to switch that. We're going to do Monday evenings at 8:15 p.m. Okay. And again, the full video will always be, it'll live here, YouTube, TikTok, all the places so that you can find it. All right. If you're interested in working more with me, I do offer 1 hour. Yes, that move will be great. Exactly. I'm so glad you're here for it. Yeah. I think it'll really service a few more of us. And I mean, I know that there's no perfect time, because I know some of you may be like, no, this was perfect for me, but I've just had a lot of feedback. There'd be more opportunity for people to join and or to stay on a little bit longer, and myself too, because I got to go upstairs and finish getting the boys ready for our day. So in the evenings, they're going to be asleep. I'll be fully present. I think that's going to work out great. But I'm so appreciative to all of you being here. Again, like I said, I do offer creative consults. If that's something that you're ever interested in, you can go to rachelleforce.com for that. I also do hour-long Misfit Path readings, which is where we'll do an energy reading and really kind of tap into where you are, where you want to be, and really illuminate your Misfit Path and really kind of get you back. So anyway, for all that good stuff, you can go to rachelleforce.com. You can book a 15-minute free call with me. We can talk. You can ask me more about it and see if it's for you. I know it's a little bit of an investment, so I really want to make sure that you are excited about it. All right. All the other free stuff is up. I love it so much. Thank you for sharing. Hold the sword in my hand and being imperfectly present. Oh, all of you have taught me so much this morning, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful that I showed up. I love you all so much. Again, I will update the workbook. I will post it in my stories. So if you don't follow me in stories, make sure you check those out, and I'll let you know when that's up. So then next week, again, we can kind of run through that for review. All right. Have a beautiful, wonderful week. It's Monday. Wow. She'll be fine. I'll have some coffee. All right. I love you all so very much, from my heart to yours. Be well and be prosperous. I'll see you next week. Love you, mean it.